The time is 8:45 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the news edited by Lakshman Fonseca and read by Tilani Piris. Sri Lanka reiterates continued cooperation with the UN in keeping with the Constitution and international obligations. Kamsaini Gunaratnam of Sri Lankan origin elected as a Member of Parliament of Norway. PCR tests and reports within 3 hours for foreign tourists. State Minister Dr. Sudashini Funandapulle says it will be possible to open the country on Monday. Sri Lanka decides to establish diplomatic relations with East Timor. And on sports news, a Sri Lankan fast bowler Lasith Malinga announces his retirement from all forms of cricket. And on international news, a tropical storm Nicholas brings havoc to Texas and Louisiana. Addressing the 48th regular session of the UN Human Rights Commission, Foreign Minister G.L. Pires reiterated strong and continued cooperation with this Council and the United Nations mandated human rights system in keeping with the Constitution and international obligations. He said 12 years ago, Sri Lanka eradicated LTT terrorism on its soil. Sri Lanka has restored peace, security and stability for the benefit of the people. He said 16 LTT cadres convicted of serious terrorist crimes were granted presidential pardon most recently. The foreign minister said that despite the daily challenges of the devastating COVID-19 pandemic, the Office of Missing Persons, as its core function, is finalizing the list of missing persons in collaboration with other agencies. The Office of Repatriations has processed 3,775 claims this year. The Office for National Unity and Reconciliation continues its 8-point action plan. The National Human Rights Commission is also carrying on its mandate. A steering committee on SDG 16 is working towards enhancing peace, justice and strong institutions. The Cabinet Subcommittee was appointed to revisit the PTA and to bring it in line with international norms and best practices. A commission of inquiry headed by a sitting judge of the Supreme Court was established to address issues on accountability and missing persons and to revisit recommendations by previous commissions. Minister G.A. Pires also said the government is maintaining energetically engagement with civil society to obtain their insights and to harness their support in achieving reconciliation and development. He said Sri Lanka continues to investigate and prosecute perpetrators of the appalling terrorist attack on Easter Sunday in 2019, complying with due process of law in all respects. Kamsaini Gunaratnam of Sri Lankan origin has been elected as a Member of Parliament of Norway. She was born in Jaffna and had left for Norway at the age of 3 with her family. The young Kamsaini Gunaratnam contested from the Labour Party on 21st October 2015. She was elected as the Deputy Mayor of Oslo by the City Council. She was re-elected for the post on the 23rd of October 2019. Kamsaini Gunaratnam has now progressed to be elected as a member of the Norwegian Parliament in the elections that were held yesterday. The government has taken measures to perform PCR tests and issue reports within 3 hours for foreign tourists arriving via Katunaik International Airport. A PCR testing laboratory was newly established at the airport premises in this regard. The newly established will be open on the 28th of this month. The Tourism Minister Prasanna Ranatunga said at least 3,000 tourists arrive in the country each day. Fee for the PCR tests per one tourist is $40 at the airport lab. The fee for the same test in Ukraine is $40 and it is $60 in European countries, the minister added. He said the tourists have to wait at the laboratory until the PCR test results are ready. He added even if their PCR results proved a negative, foreign tourists who have received only one dose should go to tourist hotels for quarantine process. Arrangements have also been made to refer foreign tourists who have received a positive PCR report for further medical treatment. The airport laboratory uses advanced technology that can perform up to 500 PCR tests per hour and has the capacity to perform 7,000 PCR tests per day, he said. This laboratory operates under the guidance and regulation of the Ministry of Health using technology in line with international standards. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Get a personal loan for your marriage, education or housing within 24 hours with People's Bank Digital Banking.
State Minister Sudarshini Fernandapule says as a result of the 4-week quarantine curfew that was imposed, a decline has been observed in the number of COVID infections and deaths currently being reported in the island. The State Minister of Primary Healthcare Epidemics and COVID-19 Disease Control said, therefore, the country can be systematically reopened after Monday. She made these observations to media following a visit to the MOH department in Sidua today. The government decided to impose the curfew due to the rapid spread of the Delta variant of the coronavirus. Sri Lanka has decided to establish diplomatic relations with East Timor, the government said today. Foreign Minister Professor G.L. Puris has granted cabinet approval recently to establish diplomatic relations with East Timor, and the cabinet had its approval for the proposal as a result. The government said that East Timor has expressed the desire to establish formal diplomatic relations with Sri Lanka. It is also reported a number of Asian countries, including India, China, Japan, and South Korea, have established diplomatic relations with East Timor. The government says that establishing diplomatic relations with East Timor will be important for Sri Lanka economically and politically. Sri Lanka will also look to obtain the support of East Timor in the international arena in many fields. That ends the local news for now.
Get a personal loan for your marriage, education or housing within 24 hours with People's Bank Digital Banking. People's Bank Digital Banking, your ultimate convenience.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Vidya Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya.
Kamsaini Gunaratnam of Sri Lankan origin has been elected as a Member of Parliament of Norway. She was born in Jaffna and had left for Norway at the age of 3 with her family. The young Kamsaini Gunaratnam contested from the Labour Party on 21st October 2015. She was elected as the Deputy Mayor of Oslo by the City Council. She was re-elected for the post on 23rd October 2019. Kamsaini Gunaratnam has now progressed to be elected as a member of the Norwegian Parliament in the elections that were held yesterday. That was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
And now in Watchlight.
The Agriculture Ministry says a new invasive weed species called Mimosa diplotricha had been found at several areas of the Puttalam district. Farmers in the area complain that the weed scrambled vigorously over other plants, forming dense tangled thickets up to 2 meters in height. Agriculture Ministry also said in many countries the plant had smothered and killed indigenous flora as it had been identified as a big threat to forest ecosystems, agricultural land and pastures. That came to you in Watchlight.
World News.
World News headlines first. Tropical storm Nicholas brings heavy rain to Texas and Louisiana. A global BBC analysis has found the number of extremely hot days every year doubled since the 1980s. The NHS is preparing to offer COVID booster jabs from next week. Tropical storm Nicholas has been downgraded from a hurricane after making landfall on the Texas coast in the U.S., bringing heavy rain and the risk of life-threatening flooding. The storm was upgraded to a hurricane after reaching land at 05:30 GMT, but has now weakened. More than 360,000 power outages have been reported in Texas, according to the power outage. U.S. President Joe Biden declared an emergency in Louisiana. It comes just weeks after Hurricane Ida, the 5th strongest to ever hit the U.S. mainland. Nicholas is carrying maximum sustained winds of 70 miles per hour and is expected to hit the Texas coast and upper Louisiana with 5 to 10 inches of rain. The number of extremely hot days every year when the temperature reaches 50 Celsius has doubled since the 1980s. A global BBC analysis has found. They also now happen in more areas of the world than before, presenting unprecedented challenges to human health and to how we live. The total number of days above 50 Celsius has increased in each decade since 1980. On average, between 1980 and 2009, temperatures passed 50 Celsius about 14 days a year. The Environmental Change Institute at the University of Oxford said in the same period, temperatures of 45 Celsius and above occurred on average an extra 2 weeks a year. It added high heat can be deadly for humans and nature and cause major problems to buildings, roads and power systems. The NHS is preparing to offer COVID booster jabs from next week, the Health Secretary has said. He told the Commons the government had accepted advice from the JCVI that around 30 million people should be offered a third dose. This includes over 50s, younger adults with health conditions and frontline health and social care workers. The Pfizer jab is recommended as it should be given at least 6 months after the second dose. It is part of the government's plan for managing COVID through the autumn and winter. The recommendation from Joint Committee on Vaccinations and Immunization comes amid concern about waning immunity. Back to the world news headlines. Tropical storm Nicholas brings heavy rain to Texas and Louisiana. A global BBC analysis has found the number of extremely hot days every year doubled since the 1980s. The NHS is preparing to offer COVID booster jabs from next week. That ends World News. On to development news. The government has taken measures to expedite solutions for the people who are intending to go overseas for employment. This is a better demand for Sri Lankans in the overseas job market. The finance minister said that there is a lack of aircraft seating facilities today due to the air travel limitations. The minister added officials to take immediate measures to meet the issue by dealing with the Sri Lankan airline and other service providers, saying the foreign employers are doing a major task to uplift the Sri Lankan economy. That came to you in development news.
Sports news.
Sports news. Cricket. Sri Lankan fast bowler Lasith Malinga today announced that he was retiring from all forms of cricket. Malinga, who had earlier retired from Test and one-day cricket, today stepped down from T20 internationals too. In a message from Lasith Malinga issued this evening said that the experience that he had gained through the past 17 years would no longer be needed in the field since he had decided to retire from T20 internationals too and decided marking his retirement from all formats of cricket. However, he assured that he will be continuously supporting the younger generations who thrive to uplift the spirit of the game, and he will always be there with all who love the game. South Africa's limited overs tour of Sri Lanka concluded today with the third and final T20 international at the R. Premadasa Stadium, Colombo. South Africa have already claimed the series with comfortable wins in the first two matches. Now they seek a clean sweep. South Africa also looking for a third series win on the trot after victories against West Indies and Ireland. This is the last match for both teams before the ICC T20 World Cup. Sri Lanka won the toss and elected to bat first. Sri Lanka were 120 for 8 wickets. That ends sports news.
A safe, easy and versatile app for all your banking needs. NSB Pay for monetary transactions, bill payments, reloads, credit card payments and Lanka QR transactions. A range of facilities with multiple account registrations. Access to your bank needs wherever you are. Download the NSB Pay app from the Play Store or the App Store for free now. For more information, call your nearest NSB branch or 0112 379 379. Conditions apply.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
On business news, customers traveling through Dubai on Emirates with a flight connection time of 10 hours or more can avail different stopover options. The carrier said requirements for entry into Dubai, including visas and COVID-19 travel documents, apply to avail of this feature. If the best connection time is not available and passengers have to wait longer before their next flight, they could be entitled to Emirates Dubai Connect service. We'll make sure you're comfortable with complimentary hotel accommodation, transfers and a visa to enter the UAE, said Emirates on its website. That was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
A safe, easy and versatile app for all your banking needs. NSB Pay for monetary transactions, bill payments, reloads, credit card payments and Lanka QR transactions. A range of facilities with multiple account registrations. Access to your bank needs wherever you are.
Economic news, courtesy of... Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
And on economic news, Sri Lanka's foreign currency reserve assets recouped in August after sinking to post-war low in July as the country took receipts of new foreign inflows to prop up its reserves, which came under severe pressure from foreign debt repayments and higher imports. Official reserve assets reached $3,550.7 million by the end of August from $2,805.9 million in July. That came to in economic news.
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Weather report.
Finally, the weather report. Showers or thundershowers will occur at times in the Sabaragamuwa and western provinces and in Kandy, Nuwara, Galle and Mathura districts. Fairly heavy showers, about 50 millimeters, can be expected at some places. Several spells of showers will occur in the northwestern province. Showers or thundershowers may occur at several places in the Uva and eastern provinces in the evening or night. Fairly strong gusty winds can be expected in the northern and north central provinces and in Hambantota and Trincomalee districts. That was the weather report. And now to end this news broadcast, the main points once again. Sri Lanka reiterates continued cooperation with the UN in keeping with the constitution and international obligations. Kamsaini Gunaratnam of Sri Lankan origin, elected as a member of the Parliament of Norway. PCR tests and reports within 3 hours for foreign tourists. State Minister Dr. Sudarshini Fernandopulla says it will be possible to open the country on Monday. Sri Lanka decides to establish diplomatic relations with East Timor. And on sports news, a Sri Lankan fast bowler Lasith Malinga announces his retirement from all forms of cricket. And on international news, the tropical storm Nicholas brings havoc to Texas and Louisiana. That ends this news broadcast.